Hi, we're the Three Gigs. I'm Craig. Most of the time I play like the owner's rep.
I'm Jim, and I typically play the general contractor.
And I'm Paul. I play the role of the subcontractor often.
The piñata.
Well, that's what we felt like for sure.
Okay, so today I thought we would talk about escalation.
Wow. That's a good one right
That
now.
is,
Wow.
Right?
well,
It's timely.
It's been that way
Right?
for a while, right? So,
Yeah.
and talk about the piñata. The subcontractor feels like the piñata in that probably because we sense that we're going to have to fight hard or we're going to just get beat up. That he's saying to you, no, I'm not going to pay for it, and you're saying to me, I should have known.
Yeah. The escalation's got a couple different meanings though, right? Like
right.
you could be
so let's define what when we talk about escalation and go, oh my God, why? What's escalation?
In my experience working with an owner, maybe you're getting involved a little early in the job. You put together a budget, and the budget might be put together in 2025, but we're not going to build this until 2026.
Mm-hmm.
So we probably should put a little escalation factor in pricing because pretty much all materials due to inflation go up.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So a subcontractor's price today might be impacted if we're not going to start for a year. And sometimes those subs, we start the project in a year, but they don't do their work for almost 2 years because they're halfway through the project. So they have to have some kind of escalation in their material pricing.
For a good, sound, let's say, responsible subcontractor, we think we've already done the hard work of ensuring that that price is going to be good for the project, for the whole length of the project.
Right.
And then normally, because of some action on your part, once in a while maybe on your part, but most often on your part, we can't start when we're supposed to.
Sorry.
I know we get delayed.
You're gonna give me the bill anyway. So.
And then the prices go up, and we were only locked in for X.
Right.
And now it's going to take Y. And it just always seems like there should be some sympathy. I don't like you being sympathetic necessarily, but you should be somewhat sympathetic to my cause here instead of just saying you should have known, and that there's no way in the world that we could have known. So we tell this guy that there's no way we can cover it, and then he has to, for whatever reason, shield a little bit instead of going, okay, let's just go gung-ho toward the owner and see if we can get compensated for that. He has to deflect and act like it's going to be mine, and then I get all bent out of shape with him, and then I don't know if he's actually ever really talking to you about price escalation or not. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right. But sometimes I'm going to either, if we've been working with them, but we're not really under contract, we're starting yet for a year, we might, use we'll bid that out again clause.
Yeah.
So, but I sometimes wonder whether a sub knows I'm not going to be doing this. Let's just say it's the framing sub. There's 6 months of concrete, and he puts a escalation factor in there. And the one trade I should probably seems like drywall always has something.
But at least they have an escalation clause in the contract.
Yeah.
And I really had a difficult time ever getting one in my contract.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it seems back in the days when I was estimating it, when I thought of escalation, usually when I first was in it, everybody just said inflation. So what are you putting in for inflation?
Yeah, 4%.
And you put in kind of what you thought it was going to be, what it had been last year. There's trade publications that you can go to get their guess as to what inflation
or their validation too,
right? And then I think absolutely more recently in the year 2025, tariffs has been the biggest boogeyman.
Is a tariff an escalation?
Well, it would
tariff
be,
is an escalation. Yeah. So when we shift from saying and I feel like we stopped saying inflation, because we started realizing there were there were other
so many other
Factors,
factors.
yeah.
metrics that could
Yeah, I was going to say, so
drive prices. So now it's
escalation is
just
generally
escalation.
a price increase, and here are all the factors that could
Right.
be
Right.
inputs to escalation:
Right.
tariffs, material inflation, labor inflation,
Right.
anything to that effect.
And so while on one side, I would have liked to have thought at the end of my estimating process that I had it covered.
Right.
And I would guarantee that price, even if I had to eat it to some extent, all the way through to the end of my project with you. But I couldn't safeguard against a spike in that price based
Right.
on like a commodity.
Right.
So that's the problem with construction products. Most of them, many of those are contingent on a market. So take my stuff. Everything was either plastic or some semi-precious metal or steel by a derivative. So all of those are market driven, and that can spike any given time. And so back when I was doing this all the time, oil prices would be all over the board. Well, oil is what plastic pipe is, and or maybe it's a cement shortage. And so if it's concrete pipe, then there's going to be a shortage, which brings the price up immediately, and it's a spike. So I would always want to try to set it up to where I would have the argument that yes, if everything would have been relatively normal, including normal inflation, you would not be hearing from me. You're only hearing from me because there's this abnormal spike in the price.
Right.
And my mantra, my drumbeat is always who should pay for the project. And it's always you. It's your project. It's not my project. It's not his project.
You're the one who's going to get rich.
You're
this project.
We're partnering.
Well, but you're partnering with my money now. And it's not my it's not my risk at that point. And so I mean,
I was going to say the other one that most people would know is the lumber spike of 2020. Right?
There's that too.
I mean,
Unbelievable.
that was like
unbelievable.
What did it triple? Almost quadruple.
4 times.
4 times.
Went up 4 times. It was hanging in about the 300
increase,
and
high 300s.
I remember
1700.
17.
I was in shock, and I wasn't even in the industry. I mean, other than doing what I'm doing now, but I was doing a little work around the house, and I would go to Home Depot and I said, I can't even buy that stuff. On principle alone, I don't want to. And then I would watch these huge truckloads of lumber. There were even huge theft issues, where people would pull over a semi load of lumber and hijack the whole thing. So
wow.
And I saw shout out to YouTube if you haven't found it yet. We're on it.
Shameless plug for our YouTube channel.
I saw a YouTube the other day where a guy had posted a few months ago at the beginning of the tariffs that were kind of getting slung around, and he posted a YouTube, and he was in the manufacturing business. He was in the pump and tank and pipe business. And his video was, everybody's bitching about the tariffs, but as long as you buy American, you're going to be okay. And I buy American, and and then just last week he posted a video and said, hey, when I said, well, I buy American, we're going to be okay. Well, everybody who builds in America buys from China material, or Canada, and the material's gone up 50%. And he had his slips. Here's a something drive pump. I bought it a year ago, and it was $50,000. He goes, and I just have an order today for another one, and it's like $70,000.
Yeah.
He said so. Who knew that was going to happen?
So let's talk about this in a practical sense then. So how does the so subcontractor, how am I going to protect myself against that? We would work harder now to have an escalation clause in our contract, and we would try to erase that clause the force majeure, the acts of God clause in our contract. We want to erase that completely because we can't be responsible for stuff that is beyond every one of our control. It's not it's not our risk to take. So I would say that we would start there. So I don't know if that's the way that it is right now, but that would be the logic. How do you protect yourself as a general contractor against that? I mean, you've always
Language
had
in a
some.
contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, that exclude, for escalation, if we're talking primarily escalation, we can, put in specific clauses that say if the contract's delayed a number amount, contractor's entitled to, or pricing for specific trades are only good for certain times periods. But I definitely have had long-winded discussions about tariff exclusions and things like that. So
Sure.
it's all about the language in the
It
contract.
has to
and
be,
having
right?
some kind of agreement,
Right.
right?
And so then when it gets up to you, I mean, you are the one that has
Yeah.
the money, so it's your project, and you should be paying for it.
Sometimes I'm a smart owner, and sometimes I'm not that smart an owner. The smart owners know that it's a probability. Is it a 1% probability, or is it a 6% probability? Don't know that. So I think the smart owners, through the contract, try and carve out something with the general contractor where basically there's going to be a escalation contingency. I can tell you my banks want to see that.
Yeah.
Even if what I did was, your price was $5, his price was 10, and but I got to show the bank, I might say make your price 9 and put $1 into
Contingency for
escalation.
escalation.
So the reality is we're still not believing we're going to get hit by it, but we have to show it.
But at least you would have a contingency.
So that was the less than smart owner. The smart owner says, okay, it's $10. We need to put something in for escalation above and beyond.
Right. $11. So
you've anticipated what you can. You've anticipated the typical. I think the elephant in the room is the tariffs. I think, inflation. I feel like the contractors have said, well, we've been burned by inflation at 2 or 3%. I'm going to put in 4. I'm going to put in a 5% inflation. And then we might argue about it, but we are usually in the contract acknowledging there's got to be a buffer there. Right. I think the elephant is tariffs. Right. Those just all of a sudden drop, and then they can go away, and then they can drop again. And so how do you work that out? And I think the smarter owners have that as a separate conversation with the contractor. Right. They may literally say, we're going to create a line item in the contract and we're going to put some money there. It's an allowance, but we're going to call it tariff escalation. Right. And nobody can use that money unless it's for that. And if it doesn't get spent, it comes back to you. Me.
Yeah. No, and no argument about that. Right. And I think that would be a fair way to handle it.
That kind of tries to protect everybody. I've been involved with a project where we kicked off on the project, and we got a price claim because the tariffs were there, and I forget which ones they were that had been put in place, but literally at the time that we got the claim, the tariffs went away. Or got cut to 5%. They went from 50% to 5% or something like that.
But the claim was still there.
The claim was there, so I went back to the contractor, and the contractor went back to the sub and said, "But you haven't bought it yet, and you're not buying it for another 3 months.
So don't buy it at that price.
It isn't that price anymore. It's gone down when you actually buy it, and it's happened a couple of times.
It's happened to me just recently.
It's crazy because you're getting a change order that you can pin it to an
event,
news event. A tariff happened. This happened. Now we're seeing the fallout, and then all of a sudden it goes away, and now you're renegotiating that contract. And of course, the joke amongst this is about the time we actually go buy it, they're going to put the tariffs back up
on,
again,
right.
and then
I
the
know.
price is
I know,
gone.
right?
But
So-
it's like this.
Yeah, it kind of seems like the three entities should be working closer together and kind of getting a more standardized language in all the contracts, subcontracts, all the way down, even third tier. But in between the owner, general contractor, these provisions that you have in that contract should probably flow down to us, so that we would understand the expectations relative to the tariffs or any price escalation,
Right.
market forces and so on, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
And they
then-
can come from all over the
Right,
place.
yeah. And then we would know the rules. It would be, to me, it would be, we could have those same kinds of detailed clauses that we already have in our change order clauses of the
Right.
contract. Those are usually very specific about what they're willing to pay for and what you're not.
Right. So to summarize for somebody who's a beginning estimator or working in an estimating group or has got the obligation of putting together a contract for a price that's going to not be completed for 2 years. If you're subcontractor, what do you think
So I want to give this guy a quote on bid day, whatever that is for him. I want to give him a quote that guarantees my price through the end of the project, as stated by him. I want that to happen. But I want to have an exclusion in that bid proposal that will protect me against escalation. And so in today's climate, I think what that would look like is anything over, X% increase in price, I would be coming for a change order. We used to try to get those kinds of things in, and we would always be shut down. But he would always be able to rest assured that he's not getting a spot price. It's not a spot market price today. We have looked out, we have projected what the price increases are likely to be over the course of the project, both labor, equipment, fuels, everything,
Yeah.
and that this price is right there in the center somewhere. So if we're here and there's the end of the project, there's the price and it levels out. So the only thing that you could ever expect me to do would be to come and ask for you to absorb something that represents a spike,
Mm-hmm.
like something that would be so out of our control that our suppliers, distributors, manufacturers wouldn't have had any knowledge of it, wouldn't have been on the radar ever. We would have bid the trajectory, known trajectory at the time of bid.
And that's an important point. So the trajectory that you're talking about is the same one that I dealt with 25 years ago. You looked at what it was. What was it for the last 3 years?
Right, yeah. And even with the spikes, right?
Right.
We want to look at those normal spikes. We're going to get some.
You have distributors and manufacturers who are very sensitive to this, and you get letters from your distributors and manufacturers that are saying, by the way, we're going to
Be aware.
6% increase in the spring, and so those are all the tea leaves you try and put together to then project out a price that you can hold.
Right. But our suppliers are not going to absorb a massive spike in oil prices or copper or brass or something like that.
Metal,
so
lumber,
whatever it is. So that's how we try to protect ourselves, and we want to be a good player. We want him to be assured that our price is good, that we're not going to come in every other day and ask for some change order based on escalation. We don't want to use that as an excuse to be a bad player.
Do you get subs who come in every other day and ask for a change order because of this or that? Or
Well, in general, yes, for sure. They all come in for, I need a change order for this or that. But from an escalation, I do remember like a 40-acre site we did, horizontal development, lots of big equipment out there. And there was a fuel spike and a sub came and said, look, I bid this at $3 a gallon. It's $4.80 a gallon now. And I've got equipment, burning thousands of gallons a day. So I remember getting one of those. I would say from an escalation standpoint, that's more of a projections, a drywaller who I pushed out 2 or 3 months
Right.
says, well, you're going to go across January and we're getting an escalation.
Right.
So
That's a good point.
that would be one where I would.
There are
address.
industries that literally, every January or every May,
Yeah.
they're gonna
Send out a letter.
They're gonna
Yeah.
say prices have
Yeah.
everything's gone up, and I made some decisions, or my city, county, whoever, to where the drywaller was going to mobilize in October. But now they're going to mobilize in February.
Yeah.
And they got that letter that said, here you go. And would you say that they could say, well, we anticipated our price in October from 2 years ago, but we got to believe in something, and we believed in the schedule.
Right.
So if you had shown and told us, think about doing work that next year, we would have probably put in some more money.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's also competitive bid, and I gotta I gotta keep the lights on. So I'm going to be literal. You say I'm going to be there in October. That's when I'm going to buy everything. I'm going to lock down everything. I will have bought it and money transferred by September. But now it's February. So you're right. That could be a big one.
So if you're working under like a cost of the work plus a GMP and you're being professional, we're working with an owner, we would say we would probably want to include a 4% escalation on an annual basis. So if we're working in 25 and we're going to start this project in late 26, we might put 6% escalation in there, and then work with the owner to kind of.
Now, here's what I would say: if I couldn't get what I needed to get, and you couldn't build it, and the drywall got pushed out from October to February, I think a reasonable owner would understand that they had that risk and they took it. If because of what I believe are missteps by you and or your subs, lost a month here, lost 6 weeks here, lost another month here, and because of that, we got into a rainy season, and now we're in rainy season that we weren't going to be in, and
slowed down even more
more,
and then
now the drywall is
hits.
showing up, and everybody says, well, because it went into the new year, you owe us. I would probably take a position of, I don't think I got any dog in this fight, but I'm going to have to pay something, but don't expect me to pay full ride. Because you guys were in charge of the schedule, not me, and you can't. You will say every one of those things is my fault, and I will say 90% of them are your fault.
Even the rain,
not my fault. No, I'll own rain, but that's about all I'll own. If things got foobarred.
There's a lot of language that's typically, I would say, eliminates that risk and puts it down. Downstream.
Right.
Again, here's the pinata, right? Here we go. That's why it feels like the pinata. So
and that's why our favorite subcontractor is our favorite pinata.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's escalation. You are, if you're in the business of in construction, trying to anchor a number for 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, 48 months away. Hopefully this has been at least encouraging you that you're not wrong in being depressed. But
better communication is going to be key. Better contracts, better language. Being more open, being more transparent. Right. All those things that we talk about, but rarely get around to doing. I think now is probably more important than ever.
Yeah, I think escalation in 2025 is a really good opportunity for there to be more dialogue
Yeah.
And that dialogue to transfer into contract language.
You just said 2025. You know what month it is right now, right?
Well,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it's like we might as well be talking 2026.
Okay,
We're
so
at the end of this thing. Whoever
2026.
allowed it to be November, it's crazy.
It's probably going to, and it'll go into 2026, and yeah. So this is going to be a process for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Anything? Any last goodbyes?
Goodbye.
Yeah, good stuff, right? There we go.
3
Thank you.
gigs. Signing off. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and good luck.